Welcome, everyone. Today we are going to break down a piece of Mandarin grammar that, honestly, trips up a lot of English speakers at first. But trust me, once you get it, it's absolutely key to sounding natural. This isn't just about memorizing words. It's about getting our brains to think in a slightly different way, to really understand the logic of how Mandarin sentences are built. So let's get started. Okay, think about this simple English sentence. I eat at 7 o'clock. We have the subject, the verb, and then the time at the end. It's just how we do it, right? It feels completely natural. But here's the thing. If you try to translate that word for word into Mandarin, it would sound, well, pretty strange and just plain wrong. This little sentence actually shows us a huge difference in how the two languages set up an idea. So, our big question for today is, how do you properly connect an action to a time in Mandarin? The answer, you'll see, really comes down to one single super important character. So let's dive right into that core component. The character that's going to unlock this whole concept for us is 在. Seriously, understanding what this character does and where it goes in a sentence is a total game changer. It's one of those things that, once it clicks, will make your Mandarin sound so much more authentic.
So what is 在 exactly? Well, on the surface, it's a preposition. We often translate it as at, in, or on, but its job is much bigger than that. I want you to think of 在 as an anchor. Its whole purpose is to anchor an action in a specific context. It tells us where something is happening, like at the library, 在图书馆, or, for our purposes today, it tells us when something is happening, like at 7 o'clock. It basically sets the stage for the verb.
Okay, now this is where it gets really, really cool. Let's just look at the character itself for a second. See that part on the left side? That's 2, which is the character for earth or ground. And that is not a coincidence at all. It's like a brilliant little clue built right into the character that tells you its core meaning, to be located or present on the ground. From there, that physical idea of being located in a place expands to the more abstract idea of being located at a point in time. It's just a beautiful example of how the visual DNA of a character can teach you how to use it. All right, so now that we've kind of geeked out on the character itself, let's look at how it actually works inside a sentence. And I don't want you to think of this as just memorizing some random rule. It's about understanding a very logical and very predictable formula. And here it is, our time-action formula. Now pay close attention to the order. Step 1, you have your subject, who's doing the thing. Step 2, right after that comes the time phrase, which is kicked off by 在. And only then, in step 3, after you've already established when it's happening, do you finally say the verb. This is the big switch from English. We usually say the action first and tack the time on at the end. But in Mandarin, you have to set the stage first. You have to create the time context before the action can even happen. Theory is great. It gives us the why, but you really learn a language by doing. So let's take that formula and put it to work with a real solid example. We'll also break down the pronunciation and the rhythm so you can start using this with confidence. So our core time phrase is 在7点. Listen carefully, 在7点. Why don't you try saying that with me? 在7点. So what does this mean? It's at 7 o'clock. Let's break it down. We've got 在, our preposition at. We have 7, which is the number 7, and 点, which means o'clock. Let's try it one more time. 在7点. Now, let's build our full sentence. I eat at 7 o'clock. We just follow the formula. Subject, 我, time phrase, 在7点, 在7点. And our verb phrase, 吃饭, to eat a meal. So let's say it slowly, piece by piece. 我在7点吃饭. Great. Now let's try it with a more natural conversational rhythm. 我在7点吃饭. See how that time phrase just slots in perfectly between the subject and the verb? Okay, let's spend a minute on pronunciation, because getting these details right makes a huge difference. First up, 在. A really common mistake for English speakers is to make that Z sound buzzy, like in the word zoo. That's not quite right. The Mandarin Z is what we call an unaspired affricate. To make the sound, put the tip of your tongue right behind your top front teeth, kind of like the position for the DS sound in kids, and just release it flatly. No buzz, no puff of air, 在. You try it. 在. Good. Now for qi. The pinyin Q is not a K sound. It's a really sharp, airy sound. You're going to press the middle part of your tongue, the blade, up against the roof of your mouth, your hard palate, kind of smile,
and then push out a sharp puff of air. Think of the chi in cheese, but with more force and more air. Chi. Getting these sounds right will make you so much easier to understand. So we've nailed the grammar, we've practiced the pronunciation, and that's all essential stuff. But to really, truly master a language, you have to go deeper. We need to understand the cultural context, because this grammar rule isn't just random. It actually tells us something really important about cultural perspectives.
And here's the key cultural insight: the massive importance of punctuality. In many, many Chinese-speaking settings, whether it's business or just meeting up with friends, being on time isn't just a nice thing to do. It's a fundamental signal of respect, of reliability, of how seriously you take the other person and the situation. Being late can be seen as really disrespectful, and it can have real consequences. So being able to talk about schedules and time isn't just a grammar point. It's a critical cultural skill.
So that leads us to a fascinating question. If a culture places a high value on planning, on scheduling, on setting the context, can we actually see evidence of that in the way the language is put together? Let's look back at our sentence formula, because the answer is a big yes. This side-by-side comparison makes it so clear. In English, we tend to lead with the action, I eat. The time is extra information that can come later. But look at the Mandarin order. It requires you to establish the time frame before you even mention the action. The language itself forces you to set the context first. This structure reflects a worldview where the container for the action, the schedule, the time slot, is established as a prerequisite. It's just a fantastic example of how deeply culture and grammar are connected. All right, we've explored the character, we've built the formula, and we've connected it to culture. Let's boil all of this down into one simple, memorable rule that you can take with you. This is it. This is your golden rule. I don't care how simple or how complicated the time phrase is, its home is always in one place, right after the subject and right before the verb. Burn this pattern into your brain. Subject, time, verb, and I promise you, you will have mastered one of the most important sentence structures in all of Mandarin. So today we've really unpacked a crucial piece of Mandarin grammar, and we've seen how it connects to a deeper cultural value. You now have the tools to talk about time the right way, the authentic way. So I want to encourage you to go out and use this. And as you do, think about how this new understanding of time and context can improve not just your speaking, but your overall cultural fluency. Thanks so much for your focus today.